And when this artificial intelligence system becomes self-aware, it is not going to think as slow as humans think. It's going to blow us away. And there will be no way possible that we will ever gain an advantage over this new God that we just created. You have enough intelligent people telling us that in roughly 13 years, it's interesting, he predicts 13 years. Other guys predict 13 years. Ray Kurzweil, they're all looking at 2029 or 2030 as a year when we finally have a self-aware artificial intelligence machine somewhere. About 13 years. That we're being told that in 13 years, nobody is expending any thoughtful energy whatsoever into this concept. And yet, those who study and believe Bible prophecy, we have been told by these same scientists that are making it, that they are making a God. Why are we not busy about that? Why are we not taking it seriously? I think we should. I think we should take it very seriously. It was the company, Geordie Rose, that made the D-Wave computer. He gave a little speech about it. I talked about it. And he said that, when he stands next to this quantum computer, and this kind of made tremors all over the internet, and he made fun of the people who came up with conspiracy theories. In this video, he mocked and made fun of the people who came up with conspiracy ideas, because he said that standing next to this machine was like standing next to the altar of an alien god. It's true on the very level of what that computer is and how it does it. It is absolutely true. An altar to an alien god. And I'll explain that as we move on. Well, I'll explain it now. In Geordie Rose's talk about this computer, he quoted a physicist named David Deutsch, and he said, quantum computation will be the first technology that allows useful tasks to be performed in collaboration between parallel universes. Now, he said this back in 2005, when the quantum computer really was just kind of taken off. I believe that he knew exactly what he was talking about. Geordie Rose talked about that in this video, that it literally taps into the borders or crosses the line between our world and another world. So, the universe that the quantum computers are tapping into is a spiritual universe, a place where the laws of physics do not apply. You follow me? Think about this, where the light is as darkness. This is the guy that made that processor, the D-Wave computer, Eric Ladzinski. He said concerning quantum computing, he said, a processor harnessing a whole new resource in nature, technologically accessing these parallel universes. And that was his theory before he ever built the thing. He knew then what he had to build. And it came together very, very quickly. He said the quantum world breaks all the physical laws, but since these same particles make up all matter, why doesn't things in this world react the same way? I want you to look at this image here. This is Washington's monument. And up until about 10, 15 years ago, the grounds around the bottom of Washington's monument looked very different. It was basically a really weird circle around the whole place. Just in the last few years, they've redesigned this area so that now you have one circle that overlaps another circle. And what they're showing you is that you have this world entangled with this world, and the area that they are connected in is called the Nexus. If you saw Star Trek Generations, okay, you saw Captain Kirk and Captain Picard get caught up into what's called the Nexus. And the Nexus is like this world of your dreams, where when you die and you get caught up in this Nexus, everything that you want becomes reality. All right? And you just want to, it's a land of bliss, and you just want to stay there forever. Okay? I now know that that's a setup, trying to get us sci-fi people to want to be in the Nexus. Well, in this case, the Nexus is where the fourth kingdom mingles in with people on planet Earth. They are now entangled. And by the way, Geordie Rose said, in explaining this D-Wave computer, that it's like two universes joining together, and the area where the computation is being done is called the Nexus. What he said. So that makes me think that we're talking about more of a spiritual thing than we are a physical thing. Remember the light switch. The light switch is either on or the light switch is off. But in the quantum state, it's called its superposition. The light switch is both on and off simultaneously. It defies the laws of physics. There is no order, physical order, in the quantum world. That's very important to remember. We have a beast who's going to show up that both was and is not, yet is. Revelation 17:8, the beast that thou sawest was and is not. Look at what your Bible says. The Bible does not say it was, then was not. It does not say that. It says the beast that thou sawest was and is not, together, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Think about it. Bottomless pit defies the laws of physics, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. And we're wondering because we see somebody that is in a quantum state superposition. He both was and is simultaneously. It's like he lived, 5,500 years ago, and he lives now, and he's like a bridge between the past and the present, so that he is in both places at the same time. He's in the past, and he's also simultaneously in the future. It doesn't follow the laws of physics. It violates the rules. It doesn't have the order of the physical world. So this beast, they wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Again, your Bible does not say the beast that was and then he died, but he came back to life. That's not what it says. It is said of Jesus, I am he who was dead and am now alive. Jesus is not in a quantum state superposition. Jesus is not both dead and alive, but this beast sure is. He is Schrodinger's cat. He is both dead and alive. He is not and yet is. He doesn't exist, yet he does exist. That's what a quantum state is. That's what the quantum world is.
The Tower of Babel was an interdimensional portal or stargate built by Nimrod that allowed for the entrance of extra-dimensional beings into the earth. Now that's critical. At the core of Mystery Babylon is the interspecies breeding of fallen angel and human women. But let's just put that on the shelf for a moment.
You know, why is Shiva, the statue of Shiva, out front of CERN? Why was CERN built on top of, apparently, an old ancient Roman temple to Apollo, to Apollyon, the destroyer? You know, what is the motivation behind this issue? Why do we want to open a portal to the other side and to maintain an open doorway back and forth to other dimensions? So you might speak to that. We might have a discussion on that.
Yeah, the statue Shiva was a gift from the Indian government, and it's a Hindu god to destruction and then the rebirth, the rebuilding, the reconstruction of the universe. That's all well and good if you're a Hindu, but if you're a Christian and you're looking at it, you begin to think, well, why would you not have, for example, a Christian cross outside the headquarters of CERN? Why would you have, you know, this particular entity as something that, yeah, it's a gift from the Indian government, that's all well and good, but is there more to it than it simply just being a gift and they're being courteous and saying, yeah, we'll put it outside the building, that's all well and good? Because you begin to look at things like, again, the CERN logo. Many people have talked about Shiva. They've talked about their CERN logo being 666. Well, that's well and good as well. But let's go a little deeper. There are curved plates of glass behind which there are animal skins and parchments of Sanskrit writing, Hebraic writing, Chinese writings. These are ancient writings that essentially are talking about the frequencies and the energies that need to be utilized, and in the form of rituals that need to be utilized in the opening spiritually of dimensional portals. Now, this has direct application to the technology being employed in addition to the spiritual, the frequencies, the sounds, if you will, that are being used to open the portal. So there's a lot behind what I just said.
Of humankind's quest to be as the gods, you know, it still, from my standpoint, puts it in a very you know, a danger. It's a highway to a danger zone, is what it is. To quote Kenny Loggins. Haven't thought of that song quite in this context, but it is a highway to the danger zone. And you know, the fact that you have Shiva, Apollo, Apollyon. You have the logo of CERN that, you know, maybe it's the arms of Shiva, but it looks a lot like 666 to me. Is that there's something, you know, that's up to no good, something evil this way comes.
Well, I think we'll agree that symbols have power.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they do.
And
Yeah.
if symbols have power, then that answers the question, why do you have these symbols at CERN? They're not just the tip of the hat to ancient history. They're not just being nice guys and saying, oh, well, thank you for this statue.
Right.
Power is derived. Symbols are mechanisms of communication to the other side.
Yeah, I agree, and that certainly is, I think, is anyone that has any occult background would, which I don't happily, but would understand that is in fact the case, that there is some kind of talismanic effect. If I'm making up or coining a term there, but having a talisman that in effect does provoke or invoke some sort of spiritual power, that they're surrounding themselves with this as perhaps another amplifier to help generate additional opening capability of this portal.
Sure.
So it's bizarre.
Many people have made the connection that this machine is the modern day version of the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be a tower to reach to heaven.
Right.
Well, really, it's a reaching to another dimension. So that I agree, it is the Tower of Babel.